Welcome. Most of us are well aware regarding the need and importance of research paper publication. It is indeed a proud feeling to publish the gain the knowledge and perform a hard effort at an international platform. Fulfilling some academic requirements and improving professional career are secondary but major reason for publication. Before a past decade, publication may be easier compared to the recent changes in the publication policies because of the increasing number of predatory journals. The University Grant Commission has made a UGC care list, and now most universities consider article published in UGC care listed journals only. The number of Ayurveda dedicated journals in the UGC care list is far less compared to interdisciplinary and modern science journals. The rejection rate of Ayurveda research paper in UGC care listed journal is very high. In case of interdisciplinary and modern science journal, publication of Ayurveda research is a matter of concern. However, there is a good side to UGC listed journals. The general policy is such that editor help the author to improve the article quality. Such help can be decided when the submitted article fulfills some conditions. In other words, if we know those conditions, then the chances of article rejection can be minimized. In this video, I am sharing the top 6 conditions which are the main reason for Ayurveda article rejection. While discussing those reasons, I am also sharing some ideas that can help improve the quality of Ayurveda research articles. The first reason is the first impression of the article when the managing editor views the submitted article file. The technical arrangement of the article can be given can give first impression effect of how much seriously the author has written the article. The following points can be given a negative first impression that may result in article rejection at first stage of article processing. Most journals prefer blind review, means author information should not be disclosed to anyone except the managing editor. That is why the author information file is to be submitted separately. The main article file should not include author names. However, if author has included names, then it indicates that the author is not aware of publication process and thus may not be able to respond properly to onward process. Therefore, author information should never be mentioned in the main article file. The article abstract is a mirror in which the complete study reflection is expected. The first few lines of the abstract of any research study should be a presentation of rationale of undertaking the study or explaining the reasons for the utilized interventions or adapted methodology. For example, if the article is review of a formulation, then the abstract must explain why that formulation is chosen for review. If the article is a clinical study, then abstract should present why the disease and the specific medicines are chosen. General statement related to Ayurveda literature or prevalence of the disease are not suitable to attract attention of the general. A well-written rationale of the study is an indicative that the article is written carefully and by giving sufficient time. On the other hand, inclusion of general information can give an impression that the article is written in a hurry without giving enough time, and there may be more error in the article data. Therefore, the beginning of the abstract and the introduction should be written carefully and with a focus only on clarifying the rationale of the study. Next is a technical point regarding arrangement of lines and paragraphs in the article Word document. The paragraphs in the article should be in justified format and in A4 size margin. You can just select the complete article by pressing computer keys Ctrl and A, which means select all. Then press keys Ctrl and J, which means make all data in justified format. Paragraphs should not be made after writing one or two lines. Make a paragraph only after writing at least 7-8 lines. If an article data is not in justified format and paragraphs are made for small descriptions, then the editor may think that the author is not well familiar with Word document and thus may not be able to understand further comments or may not be able to make necessary changes satisfactorily. Thus, continuing such article will require correcting it several times, which will consume time. Still, there will be concern that whether the author will be able to understand the comments. To write an article, first the author must attempt to get familiar with various options and settings available in the Word document. Here are the main points which need to be known. Making paragraphs in justified format, align numeric data and column headings in the table in central alignment, all headings in bold and sentence case, that means not all capital, uniform spacing between lines and paragraphs, mostly 1.5 spacing. Table should be in single spacing. Before and after spacing should be 0. Font should be Time New Roman with 12 point size. It is best to avoid use of arrow or bullet marks. Use either numbers or describe the same information in continuous paragraphs. While creating PDF for publication of the accepted article, the general decides where to keep tables and figures. Therefore, while writing an article, all tables and figures should be placed after reference section. First, add tables and then figures. Note to add table heading above the table and figure heading below the figure. The tables and figures related information should be written in the article text, and after writing the information, add the related table number or figure number in bracket. This is called as citation of the table or figure. Please remember to cite tables and figures in a sequence and do not repeat the citation. Only one table or one figure should be cited only once. The table and figure citation indicates that the related information has been understood, analyzed, and explained by the author. In other words, the citation of tables and figures is an indicator that the article has been written and written with considerable insight and data analysis. Here, one more thing to be remembered, that not to repeat all the table information in paragraphs. Make the information in brief. Summarize only the notable points which need emphasis or which are indicating special observations. The next point is about writing references. First, we need to know the difference between writing and scientific writing. The author can share his knowledge and views in simple writing, while in scientific writing, author need to provide supportive references to indicate that his statements have background evidence. If there is no evidence and the author wish to share his view, then such view can be written with help of data presented in the observation. Such view can also be mentioned in a passive language, that means indicating a possibility. Words such as it can be interpreted that, it can be understood that, the observation may indicate, such words can be used to indicate possibility. In scientific writing, it is worth to note that any direct statement or claim need to be supported by a reference. Another important aspect after the abstract is the introduction of the article. Generally, the introduction is expected to be divided in 3 paragraphs, and each paragraph shall be maximum of 7 to 10 lines. The first paragraph should provide background literature information from Ayurveda and contemporary point of view. The second paragraph should describe research gap, that means what has been done and what is remained. The third paragraph should describe why the present work is undertaken in relation to how the work can fill the remaining gap. Too lengthy information regarding the first paragraph, that means literature information, can be a distraction from the main topic. Adding too much general information to which most readers can be already aware of will decrease the interest and thereby may reduce the article standard. Therefore, it is advisable to keep the introduction in brief and focus on topic with point 3 paragraphs which are mentioned previously. While writing the introduction and the other data in the discussion, maintaining a flow is essential. A flow means that meaning or information given in a line is related to information given in the next line, and the summary of a paragraph is related to the next paragraph. This can be called as a systematic flow. This is a very difficult task which require reading good quality articles. A systematic flow makes an article like an interesting story, and we know that interesting stories are attractive and thus mostly acceptable given that there is no error in the data. The last point is regarding reference style. Most general prefer Vancouver reference style. Few may require Harvard, EPA or MLA. Reference style simply means arranging author name, article or book, publication year, publisher or journal, and page number in a sequence with specific punctuation mark after each of them. There are several presentations available online which explain detail regarding reference style. It will be good if such presentations are read and followed. The next reason is unfamiliarity regarding the guidelines of the journal. Most journals have detailed guidelines on their websites, commonly mentioned under the heading Instruction to Author. The instruction provide information regarding expected article setting and structure. Information of the journal's article processing system can also be read from the instructions. While deciding a journal for article publication, it is must to check whether the prepared draft fulfill the conditions mentioned in the instruction to the author. The article should be per the instruction and the scope of the journal. If there is difficulty in understanding the instruction or any concern which require more detail, then the previously published similar article types from the same journal can be taken as an example format. How the title, abstract and other headings are arranged, the flow of the content, the language style and the reference style can be understood from the previously published similar type of article. It is advisable not to submit an article to any journal without reading the instructions or seeing similar article published by the chosen journal. The third reason is related to missing information where the editor and reader may expect more detail. It is important to check whether any statement made in the article need further details. As author is aware of the details, hence the author may think that he has given all necessary information. However, this is not the case when the editor or reader read the article. Therefore, attempt can be made to find the missing information by giving a print of the by taking a print of the written article and checking it with keeping a question in mind that whether this statement is clear or understandable to those who do not know the keyword used in this statement. For example, Tirdosha is an important concept of Ayurveda. Here, the author is well aware regarding the importance of the Tridosha concept. However, in a reader's point of view, it is unclear that how the concept is important, in which context, why, how it is important in relation to present article. For ease of publication, it is best to avoid statement for which sufficient clarifications can be given or if the clarification divert the study focus. Here are few examples related to missing information in the different type of article. In review article, review reviewed information details such as what has been observed, when, how much, in relation to which context, and relevant references. In case report, the patient information, history, previous medications, all follow-up dates, observation during each follow-up, medication given during each follow-up, reason for continuing or change in medications, and reason for stopping the treatment. In clinical studies, rationale for the intervention in relation to research gap analysis, statistical basis for sample size, discussion of every major observation, which may be either positive or negative, and correlation of the observation with the mode of action of the intervention. In pharmaceutical, pharmacological, pharmacognostic, and analytical research, explanation of what the observed value indicates, whether these values are same or different than the previous studies or established standard. If different, then the probable reason for the difference and the applicability of the study. The fourth reason is language barrier. The Ayurveda literature is in Sanskrit and the teaching method of various institutes is either in local language or in Hindi. Use of English is comparatively less and the available Ayurveda English textbook use many Sanskrit words. The published article will be on internet, which is an international platform. The Ayurveda community is far less in number compared to non-Ayurveda readers. Thus, there are high chances that the published article can be read mostly by non-Ayurveda readers. If the article is written by using too many Sanskrit words, then the editors of the non-Ayurveda journal and the non-Ayurveda readers will not be able to understand the article content. Therefore, use of too much Sanskrit is, is a most common reason for rejection by non-Ayurveda and interdisciplinary journals. The journal expect that the research should reach and should be useful for large number of readers or scientific community. Knowledge is not completely depend on the language. We must remember that our aim of publication is to inform the world regarding the applicability of Ayurveda. Our writing focus should not be on explaining literature and mentioning how this and that is related to Ayurveda. When we present the Ayurveda applicability, it will also be clear that the Ayurveda science has such information. There is no separate need to write it. Therefore, it is best for publication to write by avoiding Sanskrit words wherever possible. Also, the unnecessary use of Sanskrit words or statement can reduce the standard of the language, especially in the title. The general who are dedicated to Ayurveda also prefer limited use of Sanskrit words. It is worth to mention that article publication should be devoid of pride related to any science. The publication should be focused on findings and explaining them. Let the readers decide the significance of the science. If the observations and their clarifications are scientific, then it will automatically represent the importance of the Ayurveda science. Of course, few words can be used but a sufficient clarification of their meaning is expected. For example, dosha in its clarification is three main physiological factors mentioned in Ayurveda, viz. Vata, Pitta and Kapha. However, for beginners, it is best not to go into detail to explain Ayurveda concept, especially in clinical research. Search for published papers on similar topic and reading the introduction and the discussion part can bring some insight regarding data presentation, interpretation with limited use of Sanskrit. The National Institute of Ayurveda Jaipur has published Sanskrit terms and their English translation. Institute for Teaching and Research in Ayurveda, Jamnagar, has also published a book for standardizing Ayurveda terms in English. The Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India also contain English translation of Sanskrit disease names. The Ministry of Ayush has created Namaste portal which can serve as a dictionary to translate Sanskrit words in English. All these efforts are made with a view that the Ayurveda can be presented to modern community in a way that they can understand. If such understanding is achieved, then the scientific nature of Ayurveda can be proven at global platform. We must contribute to achieving this goal by writing our article in standard English language. It is best to avoid statements which seem to be explaining Ayurveda concept or views, and focus should be given to explain the observation and their utility. In other words, as mentioned before, the work focus should be on how Ayurveda can be applicable in this studied situation and not about how Ayurveda view explain this situation. The fifth reason is level of evidence based approaches and their correlation with the study. This point is related to article checking by the peer reviewer or an executive editor. When the article fulfill the technical requirements for the general guidelines, then the scientific nature of the article will be checked. The level of evidence-based approaches and their correlation with the study are essential to indicate that the study finding and their interpretations are scientific. It is must to be remember that too much data supported only with the literature references instead of research based studies can be viewed as a low level of evidence. Classical Ayurveda book references are difficult to be rechecked and understood by non-Ayurveda community. Even not all Ayurveda scholars have all books to check the details. The limited availability of reference source can limit the study standard. Therefore, use of the reference of Ayurveda classical text should be limited. Also, narrative evidence and providing a reference will not be sufficient unless the same is not correlated with the study. Thus, how the evidence is supporting the study findings should also be explained. More the use of research-based evidence and its correlation with the study, more will be the study acceptance chances. Research-based evidence is also an indicative of the effort made by the author to understand the situation in light of the current updates. The last reason for rejection of article is inappropriate reply to reviewer's comment. The comment from the peer reviewer can be in the manuscript by adding comment box or can be provided separately. Most reviewers provide comments with a view to increase the article quality. For such reason, the reviewer may ask for explanation or make a query. Thus, the reviewer's comment may seem like a query. I have experienced that many authors reply to such comments by providing explanation in a separate file and without making necessary changes in the main article. Though explaining is good, but the reviewer expects that the relevant explanation should be added in the manuscript. Therefore, it is must to note that every change for every comment is to be made in the article file. It is agreeable that sometimes some changes may not be possible or may be out of the study methodology or study scope. In such case, it is expected to provide valid reason for the changes which are not possible to be done. One important point which always to be kept in mind is that for the publication ethics, maintaining censored statements while replying to reviewer is expected. Therefore, keep the reply as possible as brief and precise. Here is an example of the reply to reviewer. Suppose for example, reviewer has asked to explain something. Author should reply that explained with supportive reference and should add the explanation and reference in the article file. If reviewer asked to modify something, author should reply only in one statement, only in one word, that it is modified. If reviewer asked, this seems incorrect, this should be, here reviewer wants to contribute in the manuscript by improving its quality or changing some content. For such comment, author should reply change done or change not done. If change is not done, then detailed clarification should be provided. If reviewer asked to include some information and author feels that inclusion of such information is under the study scope and it will increase the study quality or study impact, then after including such information, author should reply to reviewer that the information is included, or author can mention that author is thankful for the reviewer's suggestion and the information is included. However, if the author is unable to include the information, then the reply should be like this: this change can be done because latter statement should provide the clarification. I can say that all this information is brief and there is still much more to understand and learn. I will be attempting to present as possible as detailed information on my next videos. Please like and subscribe to inspire me and to receive notification of the next video on what is citation and ways to increase citation score. Thank you for watching this video.